mchezo hujachezwa. The only time President William Ruto will come out to say, I accept, I'm defeated, I'm one term, is after elections have taken place. And they have really defeated him. IBC has announced somebody else as the president. And so you don't expect the president to come out and say, I will be a one term. It will never happen. Yeah. He will tell you, I'm going for my re-election. You don't scare me. Yeah, because game ijachezwa. We still have 2 years. So a lot is bound to change. Mambo ya AU bado ijakamilika. February, I think 25th is when things will boil up. And so for the president is right. He's right in saying hakuna kitu inamtisha. Na ni vizuri kujichocha. You know, chocha.
Let's talk about even if Raila Odinga wins the AUC seat, that means that maybe the president will have the support of Luo Nyanza.
Yes, and that brings me to my point. President, of course, the president is frustrated. You can see that clearly. If you are wise, you can see he's not a happy man. He's always angry. He's always responding with anger and, you know, and using some of the very derogatory terms in describing his opponents, you know, saying muache kufanya hivi mapema, muache, you know, things that you cannot even pronounce unless you're the president. Because hakuna mahali utapelekwa. Wanaitwa nani hao? EACC ama NCIC?
NCIC.
I was hoping they would summon the president. They should summon the president, maybe. But they can't. But you see, that is an indicator that he's not a happy man. Because Kenya Kwanza government lost the narrative. And in politics, the narrative is everything. You see, President William Ruto came into power through the hustler narrative. And so since the plot is now gone, and the narrative is being controlled now by those who oppose the president, he's a frustrated man. That is in terms of verbal, you know, politics. The innuendos, the temperatures are hot on the president. He even admitted, he said in the kitchen, politics like being in the kitchen. Sometimes inakuaga moto paka unatoa jasho. And it's true. Saizi anatoa jasho. Because there are a lot of dynamics that have taken place. And they usually take place within a very short time. Within 1 minute, everything has changed. So you can't even predict more than a day with Kenya's politics. Let's look at the numbers. I was looking at, you know, these numbers. By 2022, the registered voters in Kenya were 22,120,458. In 2022, President William Ruto won by 7.1 million votes. Raila Odinga got 6.9 million votes. And I was like, okay, so we have 22.1 million voters in Kenya, registered voters in
by
Kenya.
2022.
By 2022. IBC has not been there. So
but it will be there and registration will take place. So 2027, the numbers might go up.
Yeah, and that's another topic. Maybe, I don't know if you will have time for that, because there's a region, northeastern region, that is being shaped for massive ID, you know, issuance and the voter registration.
But the registration will be across the country. It will not only be in northeastern.
No, but they have
region.
removed a lot of restrictions on the. There's no vetting, you know.
They've removed the vetting in the 3 counties. In the
all Kenyans are usually vetted. So it brings
not
out,
all Kenyans.
How do you look at your ID behind
the
there?
restriction
You have,
was. Let's just go back a little bit. See, for the past 60 years, the restriction.
So you are never asked questions when you're going for your ID.
No, the questions
you don't
are there,
go to the chief. You don't go to.
I think we should clarify to our viewers why the president signed the order on, was it on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. For the past 60 years, there was strict vetting in the border counties in northeastern, due to security issues and security concerns.
Isn't that not a good thing?
But the reason why the president has removed the restrictions, according to him, is that all Kenyans should be treated equally.
How do you know all those are Kenyans? How do you know everyone who crosses the border, who is along the borderline, are Kenyans? You must have strict vetting.
Which means we must have strict vetting.
Yes.
Even in Busia.
Yes.
But the restriction was only in the northern part.
So what is the prudent thing to do as a migration policy or border policy? Is it to remove the restrictions because Busia there's no restrictions? There's strict vetting in Busia and Malaba borders and Tanzania borders and all the borders. The border policy is just the border policy. It has to be strict because how do you tell that this person is a Kenyan at the border? How do you tell? Kama ni mweusi tu kama wewe. Labda hata anafanana na ndugu yako ama anafanana na dada yako. How do you tell this is a Kenyan? At the border. You must have strict vetting. So how do you remove it and say we are removing it because...
But it was not applying to only border. It was the all counties. All counties, not just at the border region.
Counties that are close to the border.
But that's the discussion for another day. We don't know why the president took the initiative that he did. I've just given out.
I was just looking at. First,
but I like you to be factual. And the registration of voters and during the registration of voters will not happen only.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this factual question. You want facts? Let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
So, if somebody coming from Northeastern at the border wants an ID. Okay?
Not at the border.
No,
I'm just saying. About the county.
No, let's use Bungoma County. It's close to Malaba.
Yes.
Someone in Bungoma County goes to look for an ID. You want to tell me they shouldn't be asked who their mother is, who their father is. They shouldn't go to the chief to get a signature for them to be given an ID. For someone to prove that indeed this person was born in Kenya, he's being given an ID because he was born in Kenya, or he's being given an ID because he has bought Kenyan citizenship. Surely. Are we not supposed to have those strict vetting processes at the border or border towns? This is crazy. It happens everywhere. Even Nairobi is a border. We have the airport there, the JKIA. People are coming in and people are going out. Surely, don't you think as a border?
Go. I think there's something that I should clarify.
Let me finish.
Yes.
Because it seems like we are not understanding one another on the issue of vetting. What are we vetting? What are the questions that are being asked during vetting? Number one, mama yako ni nani? Baba yako ni nani? Chief wako ni nani? Enda kwa chief akupatie signature to prove to the government that indeed you're a Kenyan and you deserve that ID. Are those not questions that everybody should be asked?
But they are being asked. It doesn't mean that you just go to a government office. I think we should take this a little slow. By removing the restrictions, it doesn't
Which restrictions are being removed?
It was extra vetting,
what are those
ethnic
extra?
Profiling.
Exactly. Where are you coming from? Who are you? What tribe are you? Don't you have a tribe on your ID? They know you're a Kalenjin. So we are not supposed to know these Kenyans, Somali. In fact, there's nothing like Somali Kenyan or Kenyan Somali. We have a Kenyan. There's nothing like a Kenyan Kalenjin. We just have Kenyan. So that simply means all of us must be subjected to strict vetting to know whether you really deserve this ID as a Kenyan-born person or you're buying the citizenship. But the issue of saying extra, what is that extra? Perhaps maybe you need to educate me on what that extra vetting is. What is it?
So according to the vetting for ID, it is alleged that during the because of the insurgence of shifter, it was called shifter resurgence, that is why that restrictions are put there to vet, and it was used on ethnic based, the Somali and the Borana, who are attempting to enter Kenya, and the vetting for ID was not equal. If a person, for instance, from Nakuru County is going for an ID and a person from northeastern Kenya was going for an ID, and that raised questions saying that it is not fair. It is like discriminatory. You find that someone is a genuine Kenyan, but for him or her to get an ID, it was kind of discriminative.
Okay. You are in your home, okay? One day somebody walks in with a gun, okay? Shoots and kills a number of people in your home, okay? That incident is probed, you bury your loved ones, that's it. After that, do you continue operating the same way you used to operate? You will make sure you have a stronger gate. You will make sure you have security at your gate. You will improve anybody who comes there. You will ask them tough questions. Who are you? Where are you coming from? What brings you here? Do you have an appointment? That is what is called vetting. If it is tough on that gate, it is because you have a history. There is something you went through that has made you create a policy, a border policy, for improved security reasons. It is even happening in the United States right now. In fact, there it's the army that is even doing that job. Now, it is not being discriminatory, in my own opinion. It is about having a border policy that protects Kenyans. And those Kenyans are Somalis in Kenya, protecting them. Sasa, muko mnaniambia, na a day before the president lands in Mandera, machifu 5 wanakuwa abducted na Al-Shabaab. How did the Al-Shabaab get into the country to abduct chiefs in Kenya? How did they get in? Who vetted them? So mmoja wa ujo wa hao Al-Shabaab akikuja nataka ID. You want to tell me, you won't even ask them questions, ati tough questions, ati discriminatory. Wakati chiefs wanakuwa abducted. Watoto waliuawa huko siku fulani wakati ya Uhuru Kenyatta. Si university mzima magaidi waliua watoto huko, wanafunzi. Don't we have a history? Those are the questions that we are just asking genuinely. Because when you say extroverting, discriminatory, just using those terms does not mean at sasa uko una convince anybody. Tumeulizwa maswali bana. Baba yako anaitwa nani? Unatoka wapi? Mama yako anaitwa nani? Wewe ni kabila gani? All these things utazipata kwa ID. Ulizaliwa wapi? Sasa wakikuuliza hivyo ati wanakuwa ati wewe ni Mborana, wewe ni Msomali, wewe ni... Hizo questions zinaulizwa. Wanauliza Wakikuyu, wanauliza Wakamba, wanauliza Wakalenjin, wanauliza Waluya. Si tunaulizwa, chukua ID yako uone wewe ni kabila gani. Si we are asked. Sasa wakiuliza Msomali, it's discriminatory.
It is not about the tribe.
Then number two, that is about